And I call the honourable member for Braddon.
Well, I thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and the opportunity to speak briefly on this bill is great news for the people of Braddon. This Banking Laws Amendment Bill will put right a huge wrong that was done under the stewardship of Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard and Wayne Swan. This amendment bill tonight will bring back into play a law within the statutes that was 101 years of age when the previous Labor government decided that it was no longer needed, that inactive accounts should stay until 7 years and then action would be taken. They had a desperate need for funds and decided to transfer, so to speak, to put it kindly, monies that were owned by Australians into the hands of the government. Today we will correct that wrong. For 156,000 Australians through that period, Mr Deputy Speaker, with accounts in their banks totalling over $500 million, that's $500+ million, we tonight will right that wrong and return to the statutes a bill that will ensure that people's funds are back to being 7 years inactive, but with some improvements even still, Mr Deputy Speaker, and that is that children's accounts, those accounts that were probably amongst the most vulnerable, together with older Australian citizens, will now be exempt from the transfer of or from the status of inactive across to the government coffers. This is a great addition to this law. And not only that, there will now be provisions that will mean that even people checking online their account, even if there's been no withdrawals or no deposits, or if they've made an inquiry at an ATM, or if they've called their bank over the phone or dropped into the bank to check their balance through a teller, if in fact you can find any of those these days, Mr Speaker. But the reality is that that will now signal, technologically I suppose, that this account is not inactive. In fact, it has someone very interested in the contents of that account. To think for one moment that a government, a national government, would for one moment even contemplate taking funds from people and putting into the bank to the government coffers is extraordinary. To actually act on that is even more extraordinary. So today we will right that wrong through this bill, and it is a welcome initiative. I say to the people of Braddon, which I know many of them were impacted by this, as the incoming member, I learned of many people who went to their bank and saw that the closet was empty and wondered what on earth had happened. I say to those people and to others that may be even wondering whether or not in fact their money is still in the bank, that they can in fact go online at www.moneysmart.gov.au to check up to see if what may have been an inactive account is in fact still there or has been transferred. I mean, these people, Mr Deputy Speaker, are some of our aged people who put an account aside for grandchildren. They may have put money aside for their own funeral at the time of their passing to alleviate any financial stress on their family. And what do we find? We found a government so desperate to try and make the books look better that they stooped to the lows of taking funds from ordinary Australians. I thought the contribution in this debate by the member for Hughes was exceptional, where he exposed to the parliament the six biggest bank heists in history, and this one ranked number 2. And what a disgrace it was, and it's tremendous tonight that the Abbott coalition government is rectifying this wrong, as we said we would do in the lead up to the election. And I do encourage people in the electorate of Braddon to check that website, www.moneysmart.gov.au, to ensure that there's not funds put aside in government coffers that in fact belongs to them. I thank the House.